Hey y'all, thank you for tuning in to this 2024 preseason preview and prediction for the Florida Gators. And guys, football season is almost here. I'm so excited. And guys, if you've not subscribed, please do. I would greatly appreciate it. But getting those things out of the way, let's talk about the Florida Gators in this 2024 season. It is a tough schedule, guys. It's the toughest schedule, honestly, in the 41 years that I've been alive I've ever seen. This schedule is just brutal from game 1 to game 12. But what's being lost in all of this is I think Florida has a pretty solid football team. Now, I don't think they're very deep, but the players that they're going to put on the field, if they don't get injured, can upset a lot of teams and ruin a lot of football team seasons if things go Florida's way. And some of these players that Florida has, they got a lot of good players coming back. The first is Graham Mertz. Okay, I think he really impressed Florida fans. I do. I don't think I've heard one Florida fan say Graham Mertz was not good. I think everybody could agree he had a really good year last year. His completion percentage was 73%. He had 20 TDs. He only had 2 interceptions. And, folks, that's just good football. That's taking care of the football, being efficient. I know he carved up my Tennessee Vols. He didn't throw it for 300 yards, but he was efficient, and he did not cost them the game, unlike Joe Milton. And you got Montrell Johnson coming back, really good running back. He had over 800 yards rushing last year. He's a senior. He is a durable, very steady. He had like 150 carries last year, so he can carry the ball 20 times a game. He's that type of running back. Shamar James is back. He's a junior. He got injured after, I think, the 8th game last year. He had 55 tackles at that point. So I think you're going to see a really big year out of him. It would not surprise me if Shamar James, if he can stay injury-free, he could have close to 100 tackles. Jason Marshall's back. Really good cornerback. He's got over 70 tackles in his career. He gives them a veteran edge that they need back there in the secondary. Austin Barber's coming back. He's a junior. He's their best offensive lineman, in my opinion. And when he got hurt last year, it really hurt them running the ball, and it really hurt them as far as protecting Graham Mertz. So they got some good players coming back. Some of the key players that are gone, though, and they are losing some people that were key pieces to their season last year. Princely Umalian, he transferred to Ole Miss. I feel like Ole Miss picked up all these big portal additions. Princely was one of them. He had 39 tackles and 7 sacks. It's going to hurt because I think he was your best defensive lineman last year. He's gone. And then you lost your best football player from last year, too, and he would have been your best player, in my opinion, this year as well, Ricky Pearsall. Man, he's a really good receiver. As a Tennessee fan, I respected him immensely. Guy was really hard to cover. He caught everything. He had 965 yards receiving. He had 65 receptions. You are also losing Scooby Williams. He transferred to Texas A&M. He had 52 tackles last year. He would have been a really good linebacker this year for you guys, but he transferred to A&M. Then you had Trevor Etienne, who transferred to Georgia. He had over 700 yards. So those are some key guys that you are losing. But you still have the weapons there to put together a good season, in my opinion. And how do you have a good season, right? Well, it starts with offense, okay? Florida was 46 in total offense in 2023, which is not awful, but and the reason that they were really even that high was because of Graham Mertz. He was efficient. He didn't turn the ball over. He kept drives going. But there was issues, okay? Florida was 114th in sacks being allowed, gave up 3.25 sacks a game. That's just not good. You're going to have to be much better. But with a healthy Austin Barber and the addition of Brandon Dixon Crenshaw, the guy from San Diego State, coming in, it should be better. It should be better numbers. And then, you got some good receivers. You got Eugene Wilson, who was a freshman last year. He had 538 yards receiving. He's back. Then you went out and you got Elijah Badger from Arizona State. He had 713 yards receiving. So if Graham Mertz has got time to throw the football, Florida can move the football down the field. And then, obviously, Montrell Johnson back there running the football. He had over 800 yards last year. He's a durable, really good back. Now, the concern on the offensive side for me, though, is the depth, right? If Montrell Johnson goes down, if some of those receivers go down, even those offensive linemen, you think you're in trouble. But if Florida can stay healthy, they can ruin a lot of football team seasons in 2024. Now let's talk about the defense, okay? The defense just was not good last year for Florida. And, Florida usually has really good defensive football teams. I mean, growing up, I just remember watching Florida really being able to swarm to the football, really stopping the run, stopping the pass, and everything. So they got to defend the run better in 2024. They were 79th last year in rush defense. They got to keep those linebackers healthy. I think it's a completely different season in a lot of aspects if Shamar James didn't get injured. You got to be able to defend the pass better as well. You were 70th in that. You were 92nd in sacks. You were just not getting to the quarterback. You got to be able to get to the quarterback better, in my opinion. And then with Princely Umalian being gone, that hurts because he was really the only guy that was getting back there putting any pressure. So who's going to step up? Who's going to be able to get to the quarterback for Florida? Florida overall was 69th in total defense, and they're going to have to get inside the top 40, in my opinion, if they want to go to a bowl game in 2024. Now, let's look at this schedule, and 1 through 12, it's tough. The only game on here, in my opinion, that is just an absolute win is Samford. You've got 8 toss-up games on this schedule, in my opinion. Okay, the toss-up games are Miami, A&M, Mississippi State, UCF, Tennessee, Texas, and then LSU and Florida State. The only games I would look on this schedule and say that's a definite loss are Georgia, Texas, and Ole Miss. But Florida, if anybody thinks they're just going to roll the football outside maybe those 3 teams right there, and beat Florida, they're in for a rude awakening. Mainly my Tennessee Vols, especially with the history that Tennessee and Florida have. There's been a lot of bad Florida football teams that have beat some pretty decent Tennessee teams. So Tennessee's like a 9-point favorite in Knoxville, but they better come to play, or guess what? Florida's going to spoil their season. So it will be interesting. Now, what's the outcome, right? What's the outcome on this season for Florida? I think worst case scenario, you're 4-8. I think best case scenario, you're 7-5. But I think your actual record is 6-6. I have you guys beating Miami, beating A&M, beating Samford, obviously, beating Mississippi State. I think you beat UCF. I think you beat Kentucky, but I have you losing to Tennessee. I have you losing to Georgia. I have you losing to Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State. If you're 6-6, you do go bowling, but that's just a really, really tough schedule. You could have a little bit better of a year. I mean, there's some games there if things go different. I mean, you could beat. I mean, I could even see you beating LSU in the Swamp. Even Florida State maybe at the end of the year. It's a rivalry game. But even Tennessee. I can see Tennessee losing. So there's some things that you could have an even better record than 6-6 in my opinion. Or I can see some scenarios where you only win 4 games if the injury bug comes up and those things happen. So, but in my opinion, you're going to be 6-6 now. Will Billy Napier be fired with a 6-6 record? He's kind of putting to better some recruiting classes better. He's got some positive momentum, and if they fire him, it's going to be off or not. But we'll see what happens. I got Florida going 6-6. I think they're not that bad a football team, and some things they get some breaks here and there. Guess what? Florida could have even a little bit better record. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll talk to you later.